Some people don't heal because pain is all they know. They call it strength, but it's really loyalty to their own suffering. We often mistake the ache for a home. We build walls around our oldest wounds, not to keep others out, but to keep the pain safely inside. It's a strange kind of loyalty, this devotion to our own suffering. We know its weight, its contours, the exact way it hollows out a space in our chest. This pain is a known quantity, a predictable storm, and in its familiarity, we find a perverse kind of comfort, a stability that the unknown light of healing cannot promise. We become curators of our own private museum of grief, dusting off the artifacts of betrayal and loss, whispering their stories back to ourselves until they become our only truth. It isn't that we enjoy the suffering, it's that we don't know who we would be without it. The pain becomes a part of our identity, the dark ink that writes our name. There's a quiet rhythm to this self-imprisonment. Waking up with that familiar knot in your stomach, replaying the same hurtful memories until they feel like a sacred text. We mistake this repetition for safety. The world outside our pain feels vast, chaotic, and terrifyingly unpredictable. What if letting go of this ache means stepping into a void? What if the person I become on the other side is a stranger to me? This fear of the unknown is a powerful anchor. It convinces us that the devil we know is better than the angel we don't. So, we stay. We choose the familiar ache over the terrifying possibility of peace. We wrap ourselves in the heavy blanket of our sorrow because, at least, it's warm. It's ours. This loyalty isn't a conscious choice made in a single moment. It's 1,000 tiny surrenders, a slow, subconscious agreement to remain where we are, tethered to the ghosts of what was. The architecture of this prison is built from stories we tell ourselves. I deserve this. This is all I'll ever know. No one understands. These narratives become the bedrock of our reality. We defend our pain as if it were a cherished belief, arguing for our limitations with a passion that could move mountains. We find evidence for our suffering everywhere. A sad song on the radio, a passing comment from a stranger, the rain on a gray afternoon. They all become proof that our sorrow is justified, that the world is indeed a place of relentless heartache. We are the architects of our own cages, and the bars are forged from the very thoughts that promise to protect us. We are loyal to the narrative because to question it would mean questioning everything. It would mean admitting that we have a choice, and the responsibility of that choice is a weight far heavier than the pain itself. But then a crack appears. It's never a loud, dramatic shattering. It's a quiet moment of seeing, a brief, almost imperceptible pause in the relentless cycle of thought. You catch your own reflection in a window and, for a split second, you don't recognize the weary guardian of old wounds. You see a flicker of something else, a forgotten light, a distant memory of a self that existed before the pain took root. This is awareness. It's not a solution, not a cure. It is simply the act of seeing the cage for what it is. You notice the weight of the chains you've been dragging. You feel the coldness of the bars you've been clutching. You hear the echo of your own voice telling the same sad story. And for the first time, it doesn't sound like the truth. It sounds like a recording. This initial awareness is terrifying. The pain, which once felt like an integral part of you, now feels like a foreign object. The familiar landscape of your inner world suddenly seems alien. This is the moment of true vulnerability. To continue seeing requires a courage we didn't know we had. It's the courage to sit with the discomfort, to not immediately retreat into the familiar darkness. It's the act of watching yourself reach for the old, comforting ache and gently, without judgment, choosing to not pick it up. This is not a battle. It's a quiet observation. You watch the impulse to suffer arise, and you watch it pass. You feel the pull of the old story, and you allow it to be there without letting it consume you. You are no longer the pain. You are the space that holds the pain. In this space, a new kind of quiet begins to grow. It's not the silence of emptiness, but the stillness of presence. You start to notice the world beyond the four walls of your suffering. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the taste of coffee in the morning, the genuine smile of a stranger. These small moments of grace were always there, but your loyalty to pain had rendered them invisible. Now, they become tiny anchors to a new reality, a reality where joy and sorrow can coexist. You realize that letting go of the pain doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means you no longer have to carry it. You can set it down, acknowledge its part in your story, and walk on without it. The process of letting go is not linear. There will be days when the old loyalty beckons. The familiar ache will call to you like a long-lost friend, promising the comfort of its well-known misery. You might find yourself back in the old room, tracing the scars and whispering the old stories. But this time, it's different. You are aware. You know this place is not your home. You know the door is unlocked. You can see the light filtering in from underneath. And so, you don't stay as long. Each visit becomes shorter. The stories lose their power. The pain, once a tyrant, becomes a ghost, a faint echo in a room you no longer inhabit. Slowly you begin to build a new home, one founded not on the certainty of pain, but on the potential for peace. The foundation is made of self-compassion. The walls are built with gentle boundaries. The windows are open to the possibility of joy. You learn to trust the unknown, to find stability not in the familiar past, but in the present moment. Your identity is no longer defined by your wounds, but by your resilience, by your capacity to heal. You discover a new kind of loyalty, a loyalty to your own becoming, to the quiet, steady breath that anchors you to the here and now. The ache is still a part of your history, but it is no longer your destiny. True freedom isn't the absence of pain. It is the realization that you are not your pain. It's the quiet clarity that emerges when you stop fighting, stop clinging, and simply allow yourself to be. It's understanding that the most profound act of rebellion against suffering is to choose, in this moment and the next, to be present for the simple, unadorned beauty of your own existence. The loyalty shifts from the ghost of yesterday to the gentle reality of today. You look back at the shadow you've carried for so long, not with anger or regret, but with a quiet understanding. You thank it for what it taught you about survival. And then, you turn your face toward the light, and you walk on, unburdened, finally, and completely free. The greatest act of courage is to betray your pain, to break the vow of silence and suffering you made to yourself long ago. It's to admit that the comfort it offered was a cage, and that the only thing it was protecting you from was your own life. Awareness is the key, turning in the lock with a quiet click. It doesn't fling the door open, but it shows you that it was never locked at all. You were always free to leave. And in that quiet realization, you finally take the first step. You step out of the story of your pain and into the truth of your peace. You find that you were never loyal to the pain itself, but to the person you had to be to survive it. And now you can finally let that person rest. Not every scar is a story of survival. Some are just proof that we never left the fire.